Autumn Festival and Test of Courage. I have an older sister, 4 years older than me. She has been able to see, hear, and deal with so-called occult things since she was a child, but I, her younger brother, don't know how strong they are. Fortunately for me, I am not psychic at all. So I don't know what my sister really sees, hears, or knows. When I ask my sister, she is usually too lazy to tell me about herself. But when I am with my sister, I experience strange phenomena. This much is true. It was the fall of my freshman year of college. Even though I am not supposed to be psychic, I clearly saw a spirit that day. It was a very intense and terrifying experience for me, who has almost no connection to the occult. In my hometown, there are many local festivals. Even now, some kind of small festival is held in spring, summer, fall, and winter. I am afraid that if I write too much detail, my hometown might be identified, so please forgive me if I don't write the names of specific festivals. Well, my friends who I invited after I went to the university were so happy to see the old scenery that they said, it's a secret place. They are so happy to see the scenery of the old days. Most of my friends who come here enjoy the hot springs and the unusual country life. It is precisely because it is such a rural area that festivals and events have remained strong as customs from long ago. It is quite a rare land in today's world, where such customs are becoming obsolete. There are Jizo-sama festivals and events held before and after the Bon Festival and New Year's Day, and during the big festivals, students who have moved to other regions or those who have gone out of the prefecture for work come back to participate. When I became a university student, and had gotten used to student life and part-time jobs, I received a call from one of my friends from high school that she was getting married, for reasons you may have guessed. The reason, well, you can guess. I thought he was a bit cocky for a first-year working adult, or maybe I was just plain wrong. Since he was from a group that did not travel to other prefectures, I had to go back home to attend the wedding. After the wedding ceremony was over, I was enjoying a relaxing vacation when my grandmother invited me to attend the Autumn Festival tomorrow. The Autumn Festival is one of the biggest festivals, along with Obon, O'Higgin, and New Year's, to express gratitude to the gods who gave us the year's harvest. I had no reason to refuse, so I agreed and decided to extend my trip home. My sister was also at home at the time, and we talked about our recent situation for the first time in a long time. In the evening on the day of the festival, the sound of lion dance music could be heard. The festival, which celebrates the good harvest of autumn, takes place from late evening to late at night. As the lights of the lanterns lit up in front of the houses, my sister and I prepared ourselves for the day's festivities and began to make our way quietly toward the shrine. There is only one shrine in my hometown. It is only open during festivals, and it is a prestigious shrine in its own right. Usually, people are not allowed to come and go without permission. My sister seemed to like the place and often went there to visit. As we ascended the gentle steps to the hall of worship, a black lion danced valiantly to the accompaniment of musical accompaniment. In one corner of the shrine, there was a place where whitish sand was arranged in a high conical shape, and the sand was separated by bamboo branches erected at the four corners and shimendori, ornaments, passed on the bamboo branches. First, we paid our respects to the shrine deity, then finished greeting the local elderly people who were in charge of the festival. As I watched the lions dance for a while, people I had known since elementary school began to arrive. Yoshida-sensei, a senior who is a big kid, Wada, who is the same age as me and good at studying, Kujo, a junior who is a sports fan, and many others, regardless of gender, were present at this year's autumn festival. In the meantime, the black lion finished his dance at the shrine and left the shrine to go house to house. Following him, we headed for the site of the old school where there were stalls as part of a group of young people, all senior and junior, who had not met in a long time. The elementary school we had attended had been renovated into a large playground along with a new school building, and now most of the events are held there. This is probably due to the fact that the community center is right in front of the school. The sun was quickly setting as we chatted and chomped on the food served by the ladies, yakisoba noodles and konnyaku from the stalls. It is often said that the autumn sun goes down like a dying vine. I feel this way more and more when I come back to my hometown, where there are few electric lights. Perhaps I feel the difference between light and dark even more so because the university I attend is in Tokyo. Tokyo is bright and lively even at night. It is brightly lit up for festivals, though, so it is bright here now, too. It must have been around 9 o'clock at night when Yoshida-senpai, who was the leader of the kids at elementary school and always had his henchmen with him, who liked to make a fool of himself, said, "Let's try our luck at testing our courage. Let's test our mettle, but there aren't any haunted places around here, are there?" The women in the room were quick to chide him, but he refused to give up. "Let's take a night walk to the ski resort to test our mettle. It's dark, so it's a bit of a thrill to go with just a flashlight, and since it's autumn, the stars will be beautiful. There are no clouds, so you can see the stars from here, right? It would be awesome to go to the ski resort." The older students certainly had a point. The ski slope is relatively close to the ground where I am now. When I was in elementary school, I used to walk to the ski resort in a snowstorm to take physical education classes. Everyone knows that the roads are dark, and it might be an interesting memory to make a lot of noise with friends you haven't seen in a while. Above all, when you lie down in the parking lot at the ski resort and look at the stars, you can see the stars as if they are falling, because there are few light sources and no buildings to divide the sky. The festivities are still going on, the adults are red-faced and laughing over drinks and beer. We were getting a little bored. We could have gone home, but that wouldn't have been enough. It wasn't long before they decided, "Let's go." It didn't take us long to decide, "Let's go," though we were a little concerned about Yoshida-senpai and a couple of guys whispering to each other. My sister was drinking sake with the adults. She did not look very drunk. She was a strong drinker to begin with. She can't drink soda, but she can't drink beer for the same reason. She is a cute little woman who can't even drink beer for the same reason, but enjoys dry sake. I decided to say a few words to her and leave. "We're going for a little walk with the seniors to the ski resort." "What for?" Yoshida-senpai said. "We're going to look at the stars while we're trying to lose some weight, and everyone's getting excited." For a while, my sister looked at Yoshida-senpai. He is a junior to my sister. She also went to his house, so he must be a good friend of hers. She said, "You go up the road in front of the stone shop and go to the trailhead and then to the ski resort." "Well, it's the closest one, and I'm used to it." "Well, it's the closest and the one I'm used to." "Well, why don't you go up there if you want? There's a straight road to the shrine, too." "Where's your sister?" "The booze is calling me, so I'll pass for now." I don't know what it was, but I reported it, and we started walking down the street at night, a dozen of us together. "What, your sister's not coming?" "I heard she's calling for a drink, so I don't think she'll be leaving the bar for a while." "That's too bad. It's still dark. Maybe it's scarier than I thought." Yoshida-senpai, who had been grumbling about the situation, gave a warning to those who were scared and led the way, and we eventually made it to the ski resort without any problems. The view of the stars was spectacular. The stars were spectacular. "Let's take a picture, let's take a picture." Everyone was excited, lying on the ground and enjoying the starry sky. It was a good time. It's already cold in the fall. It's getting cold, I'd better go home. Nothing happened after all, Yoshida-senpai, even if you said it was a test of courage. Nothing strange happened in the end. Yoshida-senpai was flushed, but there was something about him that seemed a little irritated. In retrospect, I probably should have realized this at the time. With these self-indulgent thoughts, we headed home. Just 2 more intersections and I would be back at my old field. That's when I felt like I had stepped over something. I felt as if I had stepped over something. At the same time, I realized that I was surrounded by a nauseating air that I had never smelled before. Oh, no. It was just a hunch. I had had many strange experiences with my sister in the past, but this time I knew for sure that it was different. What's that smell? I mean, it's really cold. On the contrary, it feels warmer. I felt a shiver down my spine and got goosebumps. If I were to use an analogy, it would be the smell of death. People didn't seem to notice, but it was a mixture of the smell of irony blood and the smell of rotting things. Oh, no. Oh, no. Oh no. Alarm bells were ringing in my head, but everyone was still walking at a leisurely pace. I felt as if time was being stretched out, as if I were trapped in this unpleasant atmosphere forever, and I struggled to keep from throwing up. Immediately afterwards, several people who were walking at the front of the crowd screamed in unison. It was as if they were letting out as much fear as they could from their throats, regardless of whether it was a man or a woman. But thanks to the screams, my normal senses had returned. What? Hey. What's going on? While everyone was in a panic because of the sudden occurrence, I said, "Run to the shrine. Close your eyes as far as you can until you cross the street." I shouted. My voice and the direction of their eyes seemed to indicate that they had finally noticed me. We were surrounded. A headless, white-robed ghost, and a figure standing with a sword, clad in a tattered, decaying samurai costume. I grabbed one of the screaming guys and everyone started running at once. I also grabbed one of the screaming guys and ran away as fast as I could. Fortunately, I was still a few meters away from the ghosts. The guy I'm pulling while I'm running is babbling the whole time. Neck, my neck. He was mumbling something about my neck, my neck, my neck. They're coming after you. Someone shouts. If we can get inside the shrine, we'll probably be okay. I respond. It felt like a terribly long time until we arrived at the shrine. When we arrived at the shrine, the brightness of the lights seemed to really shine. Everyone was crying. They were crying with anxiety, not knowing what they had seen and what they had followed. I called my sister on the spot. I couldn't think of anything else to do. But I couldn't help but feel that it would be a bad idea if I just let it go, since the guy had told me that he was chasing me. 3 or 4 calls later, my sister answered her cell phone. While I was blathering on about what had happened, she was sending me random responses like, "Yeah, so?" I was talking about what had happened, and she was giving me some kind of random response, as if she was listening or not. "Do something about it," she said. Okay, you guys stay at the shrine for now. I'm going to check it now." And then the call was cut off unilaterally. "Do you want me to go check?" "What do you mean you're going to check it out? Does it mean going to the place we came from?" I was very worried about my sister's safe return. How could I have asked her to do that so easily? I felt a tight knot of anxiety and guilt, asking her to do something when I didn't even know what had happened, and it was something we had done on our own. About 10 minutes later, my sister arrived at the shrine. She was not injured. She went to the Shinto priest and got 4 bottles of sake, which had been offered as sacred wine. Right in front of us, crying, slumped and groggy. Yoshida. My sister called Yoshida-senpai's name. Her voice was cold and indifferent. Yoshida-senpai shuddered, but still managed to stand in front of my sister. "I heard that you were the one who suggested the idea of a test of courage. I heard that you were the one who suggested the idea of a test of courage," she said, "and I heard that you heard about what happened on the street." 3 more. "The one who took part in Yoshida's prank. Step forward." My sister's words and Yoshida-senpai turned to those guys, and the 3 men who had accompanied them stood up with a lazy motion and lined up beside Yoshida-senpai. The 4 of them were given a bottle of sake each, which was given to them by the goddess. I don't care what your intentions were. But you must take full responsibility for what you have done. Apologize sincerely to the stone you stepped on so lightly, offer and pour out sacred wine, and do not return until you have received forgiveness. You want me to go back there again?" The sister took one look at the 4 shaking men and said, "If you don't go, you won't go. If you don't go, you will only lose your heads." We sent the 4 of them out into the darkness, looking pale and weepy. According to my sister, no one was allowed to follow us, and there was no point unless I apologized to the person I had offended. I thought the problem was the person who was screaming and still muttering funny things, but she said that this person was just hit by the ghost chi and would be cured if she stayed inside the shrine. True to his word, the mumbling and muttering naturally subsided with the passage of time. I had given him some sake just in case. After about 30 minutes, the 4 people who had left returned. They looked like dead people, but they still came back safe and sound, and my sister finally said to them, "Nothing more will happen tonight. But if other people learn from this, don't go to haunted places just for the sake of curiosity. Whatever happens is your own responsibility, so keep that in mind. Now, get out of here." He shouted at them in an unusual manner, and those who had participated in the ghost test fled home in a huff. The 4 of them slumped down, as if they could no longer move a step. The old men who had packed the shrine were angry with them, and each of them was taken home by their parents. My sister bowed deeply to the shrine and we went home. What was it that we saw, or rather, what was it that attacked us? I asked my sister. For once, I wanted a clear answer. It's simple. You are just involved. The main culprit is Yoshida and the other 3. You did something naughty, like stepping on the Tsumi Ishi or something, didn't you? I don't know if they wanted to fake me out or have a real psychic experience, I don't care what they thought, but they did something they shouldn't have done. That's all I know. I haven't heard anything about anything happening on that road. The road is not the problem. The road is not the problem. The problem is what happened there in the past. But it's a good thing it was a festival day, otherwise I don't know how many people would have been there, even I don't know what would have happened to them. So you were lucky that it was a day when the shrine was open and you escaped the difficulty. Those who had done wrong went to take responsibility, offered offerings, and were pardoned. The others were saved because they were in the place of God. What happened back in the day? There. It was a headhunting penitentiary. If you were not pardoned, they would cut off your head. The cold light of the sword, clearly visible even in the darkness of the night. The sister whose voice sounded just as cold. It's a straight line, you're lucky you got away to the shrine. I still dread thinking about that day, wondering what would have happened if I hadn't managed to escape, if I would have only lost my head, or if I would have become one of those guys. This concludes this story. Thank you for listening to the end.